I'm just trying to decide if I'm comfortable even talking about that.
This One's Wife podcast, episode 3. I didn't love it so much. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. The third episode of Confessions of a Female Founder made its way into the world earlier. As I have explained, I am not spending my time listening to each episode. Not only have I got better things to do with my precious time, I'm not giving her the listen. Instead, I'm allowing mainstream media to do that, and I will extract from their suffering the pertinent morsels for examination through the prism of her narcissism. Another aspect of the third episode, which involved her colourist, Katie Lee, was This One's Wife providing us with some insight in relation to American Riviera Orchard. Do you remember that? Of course you do. It was the brand that she had heralded with the stupid video and an Instagram launch that didn't sell anything, that was involved with jam and lemons and dog biscuits that didn't sell anything. In fact, it was so rubbish and so ill-prepared that she ended up aborting it. And it was thrown into a shallow grave from which rose as ever. If This One's Wife were an honest broker, she might actually be able to share some insight in relation to what she got wrong concerning American Riviera Orchard that could actually prove to be valuable for those who are thinking about establishing a new business. But the problem is that This One's Wife won't admit that she's wrong, not in a genuine way. For instance, listen to this that came out of today's podcast in respect of American Riviera Orchard. This One's Wife branded ARO, the former name of her lifestyle business, a word salad, adding, "I didn't love that so much." This isn't her recognising that she speaks in word salads. This isn't her recognising that ordinarily when she gives a speech, that when she talks to people, it's a load of guff that comes out of her mouth. She's suggesting that the name didn't add up. That's what she's referring to. She goes on to state in the podcast, "It was really just helpful to have that quiet period before her as ever name was unveiled, when no one was sniffing around." She said, "I had secured as ever as a name in 2022, and then as everything started to evolve last year, and bringing in a partner the size that it was just so interesting. You remember I said, I like American Riviera as an umbrella, and then be able to have verticals beneath it, and maybe have the orchard really small. But when that's not feasible, suddenly it became this word salad. I didn't love that so much. I was like, okay, let's go back to the thing that I've always loved. Let's use the name that I protected for a reason that had sort of been under wraps. And then we were able to focus in the quiet and put our heads down and build on something that no one was sniffing around to even see about. It was really helpful to have that quiet period." The ironic thing about all of that is here we have This One's Wife suggesting that the name American Riviera Orchard was a word salad, and then she spouts a load of word salad in respect of the process that surrounded American Riviera Orchard and as ever. A quiet period. The reason there was a quiet period was because she didn't do anything with American Riviera Orchard. To suggest that people were sniffing around, well, yes, there was lots of speculation about what's she going to do in relation to it, but why? Why was that? Because This One's Wife had launched American Riviera Orchard in a cack-handed fashion. You see, if she had kept it quiet and had people signed up to NDAs and didn't feel the need to overshadow Prince William by launching American Riviera orchard with that landing site, if she'd actually properly thought about the packaging and the products and organised supply lines and logistics and had a properly thought out marketing campaign and understood her potential audience, then she could have launched all of that when she wanted to. And there wouldn't have been anybody sniffing around because nobody would have known anything about it, save those that were involved in it and who'd been sworn to secrecy. But once again, this one's wife likes to suggest that it's somebody else's fault, that it was the sniffing around that was being undertaken, which clearly did happen, but why did it happen? Because she launched American Riviera Orchard. And once again, you get this insight as a consequence of her narcissism. Her narcissism causes her to launch American Riviera Orchard to overshadow Prince William. It goes out in a cack-handed fashion. It doesn't succeed. And so when you say to her, it doesn't succeed, her response is, well, yes, I see that it didn't succeed, but that wasn't my fault. It was because people were sniffing around. Yeah, but they were sniffing around because you brought attention to it. But she will ignore such a suggestion. And instead, we get this nonsense about American Riviera as an umbrella, an orchard as really small, and verticals beneath it. It's utter errant, asinine nonsense that's being spouted by this clown. And she tries to explain this in a podcast as if she's relaying to you some nugget of wisdom about establishing a business. And all she's doing is demonstrating once again that she knows nothing about business, that she has no meaningful information to share. She can't even provide you with something constructive and useful out of the clusterfuck that was American Riviera Orchard. Were she not what she is, she may well have turned around and said, yes, American Riviera Orchard was launched in a piecemeal fashion and it didn't work. It was a hurried launch, and I realise now I should have waited. I should have got everything organised before unleashing it on the public. But of course, she can't do that because her narcissism won't cause her to admit that she got it wrong. Her narcissism would certainly not allow her to admit that this is of her own doing because she needed to overshadow Prince William, and she needed to overshadow Catherine, Princess of Wales, at Trooping the Colour by getting the jam and dog biscuits into the public eye as a cack-handed attempt at overshadowing. She cannot do that, and instead what we get from this podcast is nothing about actual business insight, again, and talking about herself, again, an inability to recognise that she's the one at fault, again, and another word salad. And the irony is, as she talks about word salad, by then going into another word salad, not recognising that that is actually a word salad. These episodes are not going to get any better. In fact, I suspect they're going to get even worse than what has been seen already. But what you're getting from the snippets of these interviews is her narcissism coming through writ large. The self-indulgent, self-absorbed narcissist who is utterly incapable of accepting that she's at fault and continuing to spin word salads as if she were someone that is able to provide insight and meaning to the world at large. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.